Deep within a lush forest filled with towering trees and babbling brooks lived a cunning fox named Freddy. Known for his quick wit and even quicker feet, Freddy was a master of trickery. On the other side of the forest, in a cozy cave, lived Barry the bear. Barry was a gentle giant, admired for his strength. Freddy and Barry's paths rarely crossed. Freddy preferred the shadowy undergrowth. Barry favored the open meadows. One sunny afternoon, their paths collided near a stream. Freddy spotted Barry lumbering towards him. Recognizing the bear's strength, Freddy relied on his cunning. With a sly grin, Freddy greeted Barry. "Well, well, if it isn't the strongest bear in the forest! What brings you to this neck of the woods, Barry?" Barry, taken aback by Freddy's sudden appearance and overly friendly demeanor, grunted a greeting. His small eyes narrowed in suspicion. "Just stretching my legs, Freddy," he rumbled, his voice deep and resonant. "What about you? Up to your usual tricks, I presume?" Freddy chuckled, a light, airy sound that belied his cunning thoughts. "Me? Tricky? Why, Barry, you wound me. I'm simply enjoying the fine weather, just like you." He paused, his sharp eyes darting around before settling back on Barry. An idea began to form in Freddy's mind, a mischievous plan that would teach the lumbering bear a valuable lesson about the power of wit over brute strength. "Say, Barry," he began, his voice taking on a conspiratorial tone, "why don't we have a little wager? Just a friendly competition to see who's truly the most capable creature in the forest." Barry, never one to back down from a challenge, especially one that involved a display of his considerable strength, readily agreed. "A wager, you say, Freddy? And what, pray tell, do you have in mind?" Freddy, his plan falling into place, pointed his snout towards a nearby boulder, its massive form casting a long shadow across the forest floor. "See that boulder over there, Barry? Let's see who can move it the farthest. You, with your unmatched strength, and me, with my, shall we say, superior technique?" Barry chuckled, a deep, rumbling sound that shook the leaves on the nearby trees. "Technique? You, Freddy? Against my raw power? This should be entertaining." He lumbered towards the boulder, his massive paws flexing in anticipation. Confident in his brute strength, Barry wrapped his thick arms around the boulder, his muscles bulging as he heaved with all his might. The ground trembled beneath his feet, and the boulder groaned in protest, but it refused to budge. Barry, his face flushed with exertion, gave it one final mighty shove, but the boulder remained firmly rooted in place. Panting heavily, Barry stepped back, wiping his brow with the back of his paw. He glared at the immovable boulder, then at Freddy, a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "Well, Freddy," he conceded, "it seems your superior technique might have some merit after all. What's your secret?" Freddy's clever maneuver. Freddy, who had been observing Barry's futile efforts with amusement, let out a triumphant laugh. "Dear Barry," he chortled, "it's not about brute force, but about using your head. Watch and learn." With a mischievous glint in his eye, Freddy scurried to the opposite side of the boulder. He began digging furiously at the base of the rock, sending a spray of dirt and pebbles flying behind him. Barry watched in confusion, unable to comprehend Freddy's strategy. After what seemed like an eternity of digging, Freddy had created a sizable trench behind the boulder. With a final heave, he pushed against the base of the rock, using the newly created incline to his advantage. To Barry's astonishment, the boulder began to roll, slowly at first, then gaining momentum as it tumbled down the slope, propelled by Freddy's cunning and a little help from gravity. Freddy, his chest puffed out with pride, approached the winded bear, his voice laced with smug satisfaction. "See, Barry? It's not always about being the strongest. Sometimes a little cleverness goes a long way." The second challenge, a test of wit. Barry, his ego slightly bruised, grumbled under his breath. "All right, Freddy, you win this round, but don't get cocky. Let's have another challenge, something that truly tests our wits, not just some cheap trickery." Freddy, never one to back down from a challenge, especially one that highlighted his intellectual superiority, readily agreed. "Very well, Barry. Let's see. I know. Let's have a riddle contest. First one to solve the other's riddle wins. What do you say?" Barry, confident that his brute strength would eventually win out, agreed to the new challenge. He cleared his throat, preparing to unleash his most perplexing riddle. "I'm always coming but never arrive," Barry boomed, his voice echoing through the forest. "I am always near but never here. What am I?" Freddy, his sharp mind already working through the possibilities, pondered the riddle for a moment. A sly smile spread across his face as the answer dawned on him. "That's easy, Barry. It's tomorrow." Outsmarting Barry again. Barry, his riddle thwarted so easily, let out a frustrated growl. "Fine, Freddy, you got that one. But this time I've got a real head-scratcher for you." He closed his eyes, racking his brain for the most challenging riddle he could conjure. "All right, Freddy, listen closely," Barry declared, his voice booming through the forest. "What has an eye but cannot see?" Freddy, his ears perked and his eyes gleaming with amusement, didn't hesitate for a moment. "A needle, of course," he chirped, his voice filled with confidence. Barry, defeated once again by Freddy's quick wit, slumped his shoulders in defeat. He had underestimated the cunning fox, believing that his brawn would always prevail. But Freddy, through his cleverness and quick thinking, had outsmarted him at every turn. "All right, Freddy," Barry admitted, a note of grudging admiration in his voice. "You win. You've proven that brains can be just as powerful as brawn, perhaps even more so." The importance of being clever. Freddy, always gracious in victory, offered Barry a warm smile. "There's no shame in losing, Barry. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. Your strength is remarkable, but today, my friend, you've learned that a sharp mind can be just as valuable as a strong back." And so, Freddy the Fox and Barry the Bear parted ways, each having learned a valuable lesson that day. Barry, humbled by the experience, realized that brute strength wasn't always enough, and that a little cleverness could go a long way. Freddy, his ego pleasantly stroked, reaffirmed his belief that wit and cunning were indeed powerful tools. From that day forward, the tale of their encounter became a legend, passed down through generations of forest creatures, a reminder that intelligence and quick thinking often triumph over brute strength, and that even the smallest of creatures can outsmart the largest if they use their wits wisely. The end.